Shame. There is a difference between shame and guilt. Guilt is about the deed. I can't believe I did that. Shame, on the other hand, is about the person. I can't believe I did that. Shame comes in two forms: state shame and trait shame. State shame is a passing moment, like when you forget a person's name in conversation and you think of how terrible they must have felt because you did that. Trait shame is repeating, or chronic. It becomes a way of life where I am not enough. Trait shame is always interpersonal. However, it is linked to affect, which is where one thinks I shouldn't have something like anger, or the reverse in which they feel they should have a particular affective state. Drives. These are your need for food, sex, etc. Interpersonal need. This is normal, we need to connect with others. However, someone, especially men, can feel shame for this drive. Being called needy for a natural drive results in one feeling as though they want too much, and that they should want these things. Shame can be used for control. It can be used to shut things down or shame you into behaving a certain way. For example, being told, explicitly or implicitly, not to tell anyone about what I did to you, or I will tell how you made me do it. Shame is the swamplands of the soul. The compass of shame. There are 4 methods of dealing with shame. People can have different reactions to different situations. For example, how you react with a spouse and your boss or co-workers might be 2 different ways. The 4 styles are: withdrawal, attacking the self, avoidance, and attacking others. Let's describe these with a little more detail. Withdrawal is as you might suspect. It is hiding or being less visible. Alfred Adler would call this safeguarding through distance. Attacking oneself is where you internalize the messages you are receiving. You are not worth it. An example of this might be someone staying with an abusive partner, or hurting themselves. Adler would call this self-accusation as a safeguard. Avoidance is usually related to an addiction of some sorts. This could result in someone being a workaholic, a high achiever in school, an alcoholic or a drug addict. The thought behind this style is, I can't live in this body, it is too hard. People to deal with shame this way can be high functioning, but this is not always the case. Adler would call this conscious safeguarding. Addiction is to shame as saltwater is to thirst. Attacking others is about bringing other people down because they cannot tolerate feeling the way they do. This is the most visible style. You see these people as bullies, asses, or arrogant. Adler would relate this to the superiority complex. Trauma-informed work is about deshaming. The antidote to shame is depathologizing through connections. Children almost always distort trauma to be about them. This is because, developmentally, they are still egocentric. Somewhere around the age of 7 children become less egocentric. Everyone has to make sense of the trauma. This is called meaning-making. It is, how do I fit in this? It is how one makes sense of themselves, others, and the world. Shame can be bred here. Children can feel they must protect the relationship with their caregiver after a trauma. This is because they are dependent on them. It is primal instinct. If the caregiver is compromised, the child is compromised. This is why children protect the caregiver who is hurting them. They must protect that person to survive. Due to this, children feel as though the trauma must be their fault. They cannot question the safety or reliability of an adult, resulting in the child falling on the metaphorical sword, disowning themselves. This distortion is also related to attribution error.